Hi, everybody, and welcome to Charger 360, telling the stories of the University of New Haven. I'm J.W. Stewart, along with Bruce Barber. Bruce, how you doing?
I'm just in awe right now. How did we accomplish this booking, J-Dub?
Well, when the man asked to come on the show, you say yes. It was about as easy as it gets, I think. The man is Jens Frederiksen, the president of the University of New Haven. Jens, it's great to see you. We had you on last year when you first took over as president. It's great to see you, and we're glad to have you back here on Charger 360. Again, when he reaches out and says, I want to be on the show, like we tell everyone at the end of the show, like if you want to reach out on the show, email Bruce or email me. This is what Jens did. Yeah. And here he is. It's just that simple.
It's so easy. And you too can be a university president. No, that's, so we were just talking. You're coming in here. It's the middle of another big day. I have no idea how you do it. Being a university president, pretty much your day probably just starts at 110 miles an hour and goes all day until your head hits the pillow. How do you do it? How do you do it?
I think when it's going to sound cliche, but when you love what you do, right, you sort of, it's just part of your very existence, right? And so I think nothing has changed for me on that front. I don't know. I was encouraged to review last year's tape. I think it was just to see how much older I looked today. But and I didn't. But I think I knew it was going to be a wild ride coming in. I think anytime you do something with purpose that you feel as passionate about as I do about this, and about the importance of higher education and sort of being hands-on and the opportunity here to do something extraordinary. I mean, of course you go through sort of a bunch of body blows throughout the day and yet sort of at the end of every day, I can't tell you that I'm not eager to get back in there, back in the ring the next morning, and you can kind of see the overall trajectory. So I absolutely love it and wouldn't change it for the world.
As we mentioned, you've been the president of the University of New Haven for a little over a year, so it's the perfect time to check in with you to see how things have gone. In your first year, what are you most proud of in terms of your accomplishments?
Well, I would sort of emphasize that again, I'm just part of a group of people that do extraordinary things, and that sort of counts for every aspect of the university, where we're going, sort of where we've come from, and sort of the ambitious plans that we have aren't going to be realized by me. They're going to be realized through a collective effort of sort of everybody locking arms. So I think along the way, we've developed some serious momentum around some of the things. I mean, I know sort of the highlight reel we acquired Railroad Salvage and are turning that into an R&D park, which is obviously very exciting. We're in the process of transforming the CVS on the corner. We're finishing up Peterson Performance Center. We are tackling the PA labs and one care lane for the incoming class. And so sort of those are some of the facility highlights. But at the same time, we've also stabilized business operation, which remains the condition for the possibility of continuing to produce sort of transformative outcomes and brighter futures on an even larger scale. So a lot goes into that. That's not as flashy, if you will. And in some ways, that's where the rubber really meets the road in terms of, we had a great incoming class this past fall. We're shooting for an even larger incoming class. We've signed a bunch of corporate partnerships. We really leaned into the ROI. I think we're delivering value in ways that very few institutions can compete with. We continue to secure scholarship funds. On the international front, we have this brilliant Afghan women's program, what we're doing in Saudi, what we've done in India and in China. I mean, we just had students over in India for capstone projects. I think we've continued to tackle space, which was I heard that a lot coming in. So there's just a variety of things to be incredibly proud of, I think, as a team, as a unit, at a time where these are turbulent times for higher education, and so to have weathered and transformed and sort of recalibrated the entire structure. We had a very large graduate population of international students that sort of through visas and whatever else declined dramatically, which was a significant shift for the institution. And so to have weathered the storm and positioned ourselves, it's sort of competing narratives, right, which can be hard to explain at times. We had some incredible fundraising success, which is very exciting on the grant front. Things are going really well. But so it's like you're both transforming sort of the entire operation and then positioning the institution for a completely unprecedented future.
You know what I like that you're doing? You're super accessible to our students and I think to the community. And so you've done that in a couple ways. One, you're just out, you're at everything. That's the aforementioned energy that you obviously bring to the position. But you've embraced, and I've talked to students who notice this, you've really embraced social media. You're on Instagram.
TikTok.
He's on TikTok. He's on the gram and TikTok. I'm using some of the lingo, J-Dub.
Okay.
So was that something you thought about before you started here, or was that something that was just organic? You know, I just know the students are relating to it.
Well, yeah, no, thank you. And I'm by no means a natural at the gram. I don't even know if it's at the gram or at gram. But I think, I mean, obviously, I think, and I said this coming in, I think the university is what the university contributes as a private university with a public mission, and that mission being, and reach being global, in some ways was underexposed, right? And so, and yet media has changed, right? In some ways, I mean, this feels quite natural, right? But in many ways, how you get your message out there, and as students and parents are deciding on what institution best meets me where I am and can deliver on my dreams and the opportunities in the practice. So social media is a platform for that. I think it's a platform both. I got a great question in a town hall from a student, sort of who was the targeted audience, and I sort of said I think it's a multitude of audiences, right? It's the current student body to feel like there's some connection. Sometimes we see these institutions where administration and the student body are sort of dramatically at odds, or there's this stark schism. And I think it's really important for students to understand that every administrator, in the same way that every faculty member, every tutor, every financial aid counselor is on their side to see them succeed. And so if social media gives you a platform to communicate that, I mean, it's really just a medium, right? And I've learned a little bit about it, what resonates, what doesn't. But as a medium, both for current students to feel like, okay, there's somebody who is experiencing this and helping this experience along, same way that it is for prospective students. And then, I mean, it's entertaining. I learn on the fly. And
it's nice. So I had a student come to me who's our program director, Joss O'Haron, and she said, we would like to have a thing where we have President. It's funny, the students call you President Jens. They're very informal. Yeah. And so you're going to be working on doing a monthly radio show on WNHU where the students get to ask you questions, which I think is terrific.
Yeah, no, I think anytime you can have that, I mean, I'm sort of a big believer in, I mean, you know this, transparency and direct communication. I think even when it's difficult and even when the challenges are real, I think to do something extraordinary, everybody sort of needs to be on the same song sheet, right? And so, yeah, no, I'm quite passionate about communicating as much as possible.
Awesome.
Speaking of songs, perfect segue, Jens. On TikTok and the gram, we're calling it now, Jens has posted his running, the music you listen to while you're running.
Yep.
Would you please tell our audience the music that's going through your head, through your earbuds, your headphones, whatever you're wearing, when you're out for a run? What's your running playlist?
Well, I mean, judging by the list that was shared, which somebody clearly took a photo of my playlist. I mean, in some ways, I think running for me is therapeutic. I don't love it, but it's sort of a mental health thing, and so I do it when I can. Certainly on the weekends, and I try to do it sort of intermittently. I need something that keeps me from going through the lists in my head of who all I didn't make the call back, what emails, and so as I start start off running, the volume is quite loud, and I need something that gets me out of my own head. So I'm sure that list reflects, there's some AC/DC. Pearl Jam didn't make it, which is quite surprising since I have them on sort of a go-to list too. But it's just to completely, I mean, when you're as consumed and as passionate about what you do as I am in this role and sort of the demands of it, being able to just shut it down for whatever. I'm not going to give away how long I run for all intents and purposes. I don't make it through one song.
Bruce, as an old radio disc jockey, why don't you read off some of the songs, and do you approve of these songs?
Well,
you've spun a few of these back in your day.
Yes, let me tell you something. As someone who was on WPLR, this was everything we were playing against. You are just right on it. You know, we got some AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Dire Straits, Bon Jovi.
No.
Oh my, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is so great. So one thing I think that's so interesting about you, I found it super interesting, was the fact that you were a professional athlete before your academic career. So could you just talk briefly about how that has set you up for that's challenging in so many ways, both physically and mentally, and how that relates to what you bring to your job now?
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, it's going to be sort of a bit of a paradoxical tale, because I failed quite miserably at being a professional athlete, simply because I didn't work hard enough, was sort of the primary driver. And so I think I had sort of, and everybody sort of always looks for that inspirational, transformative moment. I don't know that it was a moment, nor do I know that it was sort of an epiphany as much as. But I did realize somewhere along the way that I had never had the courage to really put everything I had into it. And I used to think, right, you always think, oh, well, if you have 1,000 excuses, I was partying, I was drinking, I stayed up all hours of the night, and I lost, well, had I only gone to bed, eaten properly. But really the challenge I found in life is, are you willing to put it on the line and still fail, right? To where you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I couldn't have possibly, you're gonna lose along the way, but it's how you position yourself for that. And so I would say my entire, whatever professional success I've had, and I'm quite aware that I'm incredibly fortunate, is predicated on one very large failure. And so ever since then, I've sort of, I'm a workaholic. I work day and night. I think about it 24/7. I will never be underprepared. That doesn't mean that you will have prepared for the right thing, or that you can't be caught off guard. And but I do try to treat every situation with the level of seriousness that it deserves. And then if you fail, which invariably can happen, and you're not going to get every donation, build every building, place every student, connect with every employee, at least it won't be because you didn't try your absolute best.
So you mentioned a professional athlete, and you work a lot, of course, workaholic, but you still have time for fun and games. You recently played volleyball with a group of our students. How did that go?
Played, I think yours in air quotes. It was, I think there's been a lot of interest from the student body and sort of having the president involved in activities, and I've never met a sport that I didn't want to play. Whether I played very well or not, clearly the volleyball video tells one tale. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I mean, I think anytime you can engage students, and so it was a lot of fun. I've now played a couple of sports since, so maybe there's a few more videos around my, and you'll sort of see the roller coaster of things I've clearly done before, things I clearly haven't. Volleyball dated back to, I think, gym class, 1st or 2nd grade. I remember there was different variations of this, but it was a lot of fun. So,
how sore were you the next day?
Well, that's a good question. So the other sports I've played since, I was sort of jokingly saying on the way here, I'm still sore from one of them. Your mind, this is in part why I don't play a lot of tennis anymore, is because in your mind you can still go for those shots. Yes. And yet I know full well that one wrong step, the temptation to go at full speed. So I felt it.
I'm in this category. There's a Little Feat song called "Old Folks Boogie," which definitely refers to me. But the great lyric is, "When your mind makes a promise that your body can't fill."
That sounds right. I'm trying to get the two square.
Last question, Jens, and we'll let you go. We appreciate your time. We know you're very busy, but an important question, and one I'm sure you're asked quite a lot. Why should students attend the University of New Haven?
Well, I think there's a variety of reasons, and I'll try to keep it brief since it's sort of an important pitch. I think we live in times where students are looking for stability, a platform where they can really excel. I think if you review our commitment to the values here around the human good and the importance of being a platform for brighter futures, and that is pivotal to each and every member of our student body. I think we treat it in many ways like a mandate to deliver and as an extended family, right? And I think very few institutions take the ROI, both socioeconomic, but also social, political, global exposure as seriously as we do. And so I would say for any student that's out there that thinks, I've got so much left to prove and I need to be ready for this incredibly complicated world, I couldn't think of a place that would stand behind you more than this place.
On his Instagram and TikTok pages, it says, "Not your average university president." Jens, you are always above average and exceptional in our book. Thank you for being here on Charger 360. It's great to see you.
Oh, thank you.
President Jens Frederiksen, and guys, it's just that easy. That's how you get on the show.
That's right.
Email bbarber@newhaven.edu.
Please let me in.
jstewart@newhaven.edu. Jens, thanks for everything. Best of luck, and we'll see you next season on Charger 360.
Appreciate it.
That'll wrap up this episode. For Jens and for Bruce, I'm J-Dub. Thanks for watching Charger 360, telling the stories of the University of New Haven. See you next time, everybody.